Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm going to be going through 5 horror movies that I was not ready for. So 5 horror movies that took me by surprise by how much they scared me, terrified me, disturbed me, that kind of thing. And these aren't even like extreme horror movies, a lot of these are just standard horror films, but I did not see these coming and they really gave a younger Horror Hands a shock. So what are the 5 movies? Let's get straight into it. So first up, I'll start with the big one, the one that really put the jeepers up me when I was a young kid, and that is Hellraiser from 1987. Kind of the level and the nature of gore in this one, I was absolutely not prepared for. And I remember the first time I watched this, I was a really young kid. I couldn't even get through the opening scene with Frank playing with the boxers and just seeing the hooks bury themselves into his skin. It was just a kind of level of savage, painful looking gore that absolutely terrified me. And I couldn't watch any further than that when I was really young. And then a few years later, and I was still a kid, I watched it again, and I still remember sitting in the living room. It was late at night. My heart was pounding as the opening credits came on, and managed to get through that opening scene with the hooks and the chains and got through the rest of the movie, but was still taken aback about how gory that movie was and just how dark the subject matter and the feel of Hellraiser is. It really takes you to a different, terrifying world like no other horror film does. And then particularly the ending was just like, oh my goodness, this is off the charts. Like the death of Frank when he's inside his brother's skin is incredible. And the look of him and his face being pulled apart by those chains was like nothing I'd seen at the time. I know things like The Thing and The Fly get a lot of plaudits for their practical effects, but that final scene of Hellraiser should be right up there with some of the most ingenious yet horrifying practical gore effects that are ever on screen. And watching that as a young kid absolutely blew me away, and it just looked so painful and horrible and nasty and really got under my skin, no pun intended. So yeah, so many elements of Hellraiser just really got to me and hit me when I was a young kid. Fantastic movie, one of my favourites, but yeah, my goodness, I was not ready for the level of savage gore that you find in Hellraiser. The next movie on the list is The Beyond from 1981. And this was an early Fulci film for me as a kid. I'd already seen Zombie Flesh Eaters, which was great, but I wasn't quite ready for kind of the style of The Beyond. It has a weird feel to it anyway, but a lot of the gore and the violence in The Beyond, it's not kind of like rapid, in-your-face gore. It's very kind of slow, take your time, sort of bubbly, melting gore. It looks very painful throughout The Beyond. The scenes of kind of like the woman being melted by the acid, even the scenes with the tarantulas eating the guy's face is very kind of restrained and prolonged and yeah, just viscerally horrifying. But the bit that really shocked me as a kid watching The Beyond is the opening to the movie, which just took me by aghast at how savage it was, where the guys pull up in the boat and they crucify that guy to the wall and lash him with the chains and then pour that weird stuff over his head and melt him down. It's absolutely horrifying, and it's another one that looks really painful. The close-up shots of the chains lacerating his flesh and him being nailed to the wall, and again the slow burn gore effects as his flesh melts away is like, oh my goodness. And as a kid I'd not seen that kind of explicitly visceral gore played out on screen in that kind of manner. So watching The Beyond and those first 5 minutes was like, oh my goodness, you tell you're in a different pair of hands when you're watching a Lucio Fulci film. And yeah, particularly that beginning of The Beyond really kind of shook me up as a kid. The next movie on the list is Paranormal Activity from 2009. And I've talked about this one before. Paranormal Activity came out at a time when I was somewhat disenchanted with the horror genre. We'd had a lot of remakes and a lot of just disappointing movies, and I kind of felt that creativity was at a bit of a low. And when I saw shots of this movie in the trailer and saw that it was like a static camera set up in a room, I really thought that the creative juices had completely ran out by the time this one came out. I didn't like the look of it at all. I thought it was an entirely uninspired looking movie. And I didn't even buy it. Somebody lent it me at the time and just said, give it a watch. And I put it on late one night in the dark. And I vividly remember thinking, I've never been so scared watching a movie. I got to admit, Paranormal Activity really made an impact on me in terms of kind of found footage and a generally terrifying movie. I feel that they nailed it. And just the scenes, the early on scenes where there's a few creepy things happening, they really got to me, right until like the intense ending when there's all the screaming going on. And the scene of the footsteps coming up the stairs, I was like beyond scared. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the scariest movie experience that I've ever had. So I went from thinking that this would be a completely run-of-the-mill kind of boring static found footage movie to just going on this terrifying roller coaster where I was completely invested in the story, the characters, the things that went on in the movie just looked terrifyingly realistic through this found footage lens. And to this day, it is one of the movies that absolutely terrifies me more than most others, but I certainly wasn't prepared for it back in the day. So credit to Paranormal Activity for coming along and having that impact on me. It's one of the most memorable movie watching experiences that I have. The next movie on the list is Deliverance from 1972. And this movie, I watched it as a kid, and at the time I didn't even know what kind of movie it was. I'd seen kind of the famous shot of the guys carrying the guy through the woods, and I actually thought it was like maybe like a war movie or something where they were carrying a fallen comrade. And the movie starts and you kind of think, oh, okay, it's an action adventure movie. They're going down the river in the wilds, city boys tackling the great outdoors. And then the movie kind of goes where it goes, and it gets real sinister and real dark. And the squeal like a pig scene was like, oh my goodness, they're doing this in this movie. And it's just really uncomfortable and very disquieting, and completely U-turns that entire movie and changes the tone big time. Thoroughly disturbing, because I absolutely did not see that coming. Didn't even quite know how to react when that scene played out. It's just so shocking. And obviously it's kind of the catalyst for the rest of the movie, and kind of it being a bit of a survival horror kind of thing. But fantastic movie, but oh my goodness, yeah, that scene was like, whoa, so not ready for that. Oh, and even the hand at the end of that scene, the hand coming out of the water was so creepy, almost suggesting like a supernatural element to the movie, or that something evil is still there on the river. Really unsettling yet effective way to end that movie. So yeah, my goodness, Deliverance, did not see that one coming at all. And the last movie on the list is Cabin Fever from 2002. I'd not seen a movie like that at the time, kind of this rampant flesh-eating virus, so that was quite unique. But the scene that really got me, absolutely terrified me at the time, I didn't see it coming, is the scene when they put that infected girl in that sort of barn out of the way. And a little bit of time later, the guy goes in to check on her and turns her over. And I was just kind of casually watching it, and I thought either she'll be asleep or maybe she'll be dead or something like that. But he turns her over to reveal this horrifying, flesh-eaten face of this poor young woman, like leaving a garish, horrible, gory grin on her face as she looks at this guy, and he's kind of taken aback. I was absolutely horrified as a viewer. I did not expect to see that. And the memory of this horrible looking face was like burned into my psyche. I couldn't unsee it, as they say nowadays. And yeah, completely shocked me, almost made me jump as it was revealed. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is so terrifying. The notion of a face being messed up in that manner. I couldn't tell if she was alive or dead or anything. It completely shocked me and terrified me. And I still vividly remember that to this day. I think Cabin Fever is a great movie, but oh my goodness, that one scene there just leveled me and really shocked me. Was not prepared for it. So credit to Cabin Fever. It really really shocked me with that one. So there we go, guys. That is 5 horror movies that I was not prepared for and that really shook me up a little bit when I watched them when I was younger. Let me know what you think of that, and if any of those scenes got to you. If not, let me know what horror movies out there took you by surprise and really gave you a fright. I'd love to know. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.